No one else there. When my mother-in-law died, and her final letter shocked everyone. I stood alone by my mother-in-law's hospital bed as her breathing slowed, the quiet room filled only with the soft beep of the monitor counting down her last moments. Other rooms echoed with laughter and family voices, but in mine, silence was the only visitor. No husband, no siblings, no calls. Just me, gripping her hand as time slipped away. When the monitor finally went flat, it wasn't the dramatic beep from the movies. It was a soft, endless hum that seemed to stretch into forever. I froze, realizing she was truly gone, and I was completely alone in that sterile, cold room. "Mrs. Collins, are you all right?" The nurse appeared quietly at the door, clipboard in hand, her eyes holding the practiced sympathy of someone used to witnessing loss but still touched by it. I nodded, my voice caught somewhere deep inside me. The hallway outside was alive with people, families celebrating recoveries, doctors sharing news, children clutching balloons, but I was trapped. In a bubble of solitude no one seemed to notice or care about. I reached for my phone and dialed my husband, Mark. No answer. Then his sister, Lauren. No response. They said they were coming, but the hours dragged on. The nurse gently took a small, worn envelope from her pocket. "This was left for you," she said softly. Holly's handwriting was unmistakable. Sharp, elegant letters that somehow defied the frailty her illness had imposed. I promised to open it only after she was gone. Now my hands trembled as I broke the seal. Inside, a rusted key taped to a folded note. An address I didn't recognize. And a chilling message. "They never loved me. Now, they will learn what it means to be forgotten." My heart sank. What secret had she carried to the grave? And how would it change everything I thought I knew? The weight of that letter pressed down on me, heavier than I ever imagined a piece of paper could. Holly, the woman I barely knew beyond polite nods and surface-level conversations, had kept this secret buried deep. Our relationship was always distant, a polite silence filling the spaces where closeness should have been. She was my mother-in-law. Yes, but also a woman who never truly welcomed me into her world. Mark, my husband, seemed equally detached, caught up in his own struggles and unwilling to confront the tension that simmered beneath our family's facade. His sister Lauren was no different. Cold, calculating, always choosing sides without explanation. Together, they'd built walls around themselves, walls that Holly's final message now threatened to tear down. As I sat there holding the key, memories of awkward dinners, cold exchanges, and unspoken resentments flooded my mind. Holly wasn't just the stern matriarch everyone saw. She was a woman weighed down by years of betrayal and loneliness, and somehow I was now the one entrusted with her final act of defiance. The silence between Mark and me grew heavier every day. Conversations became scarce, filled with half-truths and avoidance. Yet beneath it all, I sensed a fragile thread of connection, strained but not broken. This letter wasn't just Holly's secret. It was a chance for me, for us, to finally confront the past that haunted our family. The moment I broke the seal of that envelope, my hands trembled. Not just from shock, but from the weight of what I was about to uncover. Inside, carefully taped to the page, was an old, tarnished key. Its metal was cold and heavy, bearing the marks of time and neglect. Below it, a faded address was scrawled in Holly's unmistakable handwriting, an address I had never heard of before. Beneath the address, a single chilling sentence caught my breath. "They never loved me. Now they will learn what it means to be forgotten." The words echoed in my mind, heavy with bitterness and pain. This wasn't just a key to a door, it was a key to a secret, a hidden chapter of Holly's life that she had kept locked away, from everyone, even those closest to her. Questions flooded my mind. Why had Holly hidden this part of herself? What was waiting for me at that mysterious address? And most unsettling of all, who was they, and why had she felt so deeply, Betrayed, I knew one thing for sure. This letter was no ordinary goodbye. It was a challenge, a call to uncover truths long buried beneath layers of silence and denial. Holding the key, I felt the fragile threads of my family's past beginning to unravel, pulling me toward a revelation that would change everything. I thought I knew. Every detail, from the careful folding of the letter to the way the key was taped with such care, spoke of a woman who had planned this moment for years. Holly's final message was more than a secret. It was a reckoning. And I was the only one left to answer it. With the key clutched tightly in my hand, I felt a mixture of fear and determination settle deep inside me. The address on the letter was tucked away in a part of town I rarely visited, a quiet neighborhood filled with old houses and forgotten stories. As I drove there, the weight of the unknown pressed on my chest, each passing block pulling me closer to whatever truth Holly had buried. Pulling up in front of a weathered Victorian house, its paint peeling and windows clouded with dust, I hesitated. The house looked abandoned, but the faint glow of a porch light suggested otherwise. My fingers traced the key's cold surface, grounding me before I stepped toward the front door. The lock was old and stiff, but the key slid in perfectly, turning, with a satisfying click. The door creaked open to reveal a dim hallway lined with shelves overflowing with yellowed papers, faded photographs, and old keepsakes. It was as if time had stood still in this hidden space, preserved just for those willing to uncover its secrets. Stepped inside cautiously, the floorboards groaning beneath my feet. Each item told a story, scraps of letters filled with sorrow and hope, photographs capturing moments no one else had seen, and a dusty journal resting on a small wooden table. The air was thick with memories, heavy with emotions Holly had locked away. Opening the journal, I began to read. Her handwriting was steady but laced with pain, revealing a side of her I'd never known, a woman who had felt isolated, betrayed, and desperate for recognition. The pages spoke of long-held family secrets, betrayals hidden beneath polite smiles, and a past that refused to be forgotten. In this quiet, forgotten room, Holly's true story came alive. It was more than just a letter and a key. It was a revelation that would change everything I believed about my family and myself. As the weight of her words settled over me, I realized this was just the beginning of a journey that would force me to confront uncomfortable truths and ultimately find my own strength in the shadows she left behind. The air inside the house was thick with silence, almost sacred, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. I stepped further in, the faint creak of floorboards echoing louder than expected. Dust motes floated in the dim light filtering through the grimy windows, casting long shadows across the room. This hidden space felt untouched by time, an archive of memories that no one else had dared to explore. On the far side of the room, beneath a faded tapestry, I spotted a small, almost invisible door built into the wall. My heart pounded as I approached it. The letter's address led me here, but this door was more secretive than I imagined. The rusty key in my hand trembled slightly as I inserted it into the lock. It fit perfectly, turning with a slow, deliberate click that seemed to unlock not just the door, but years of silence. Pushing the door open revealed a narrow staircase descending into darkness. I hesitated, swallowing the lump in my throat, then switched on my phone's flashlight. The beam cut through the gloom, revealing dust-covered boxes, old photographs pinned to the walls, and handwritten notes scattered like forgotten confessions. This hidden cellar was a vault of truths Holly had desperately wanted to keep safe, secrets too painful or dangerous to speak aloud. As I sifted through the boxes, a faded journal caught my eye. Its cover was cracked, the pages yellowed with age. Opening it felt like breaking a sacred trust. The entries inside painted a vivid picture of Holly's inner world, her regrets, her fears, and her hopes for a family she longed to be part of, but never truly belonged to. Each word, each memory was a revelation, tearing down the polite facade Holly had shown the world. In this secret space, I finally understood the depth of her loneliness and the reasons behind the mysterious letter she left for me. This room wasn't just a hiding place. It was the key to unlocking a family history tangled with pain, betrayal, and ultimately, the hope for redemption. The calm I'd found in that hidden cellar shattered the moment the will surfaced. Holly's letter had set everything in motion, but nothing prepared me for the storm that followed. The family, especially my husband Mark and his brother Ethan, were blindsided. Secrets buried for years erupted like wildfire, exposing old wounds and simmering resentments. The will wasn't just a legal document, it was a battlefield. Holly had left instructions that contradicted everything we thought we knew about her wishes. Certain assets were redirected, and surprising bequests named people no one expected. The letter I'd discovered, along with the key and the hidden cellar's revelations, gave new context, and suddenly, accusations flew. Arguments spiraled quickly from hushed family discussions to heated confrontations. Mark accused me of stirring up trouble, while Ethan demanded the truth be revealed publicly. The division was painful, fracturing family bonds that had barely held together before. Before long, the dispute landed in the courtroom. The sterile environment, with its cold lights and intimidating judge, felt miles away from the emotional chaos of our family home. Lawyers parsed every word of Holly's will and my letter, twisting interpretations to suit their clients' interests. Witnesses testified, some with loyalty, others with grudges, making the truth murkier by the minute. As I sat there watching Mark and Ethan at odds, I felt the weight of being caught between loyalty and justice. The courtroom wasn't just about money or property. It was about truth, about finally understanding Holly's intentions and the legacy she wanted to leave behind. With every cross-examination, the facade cracked further, and the painful truths emerged. Old betrayals were laid bare, and painful family secrets spilled out in public. The battle wasn't just legal, it was deeply personal. I had to decide whether to stand firm in my newfound knowledge or let the past swallow us whole. The conflict had resurfaced with full force, testing every relationship and challenging everything I thought I knew about family, love, and trust. And in that courtroom, the fight for truth wasn't just about the will, it was about healing, or finally breaking apart forever. The courtroom battles and family confrontations had left me drained, but something inside shifted. For the first time, I realized that my strength didn't come from avoiding conflict or keeping peace at any cost. It came from setting boundaries and standing firmly for what was right. Holly's letter had been a catalyst, not just for revealing secrets, but for me to reclaim my own voice. I began to understand that empowerment wasn't about winning the fight or gaining approval from everyone. It was about owning my truth and protecting my emotional well-being. With every argument and accusation thrown my way, I learned to separate my worth from their opinions, refusing to be pulled back into toxic cycles of blame and guilt. I started to draw clear lines. When family members tried to manipulate or guilt trip me, I held my ground calmly but firmly. I stopped answering every call or message that drained me emotionally. I prioritized my peace over meaningless battles, knowing that I couldn't heal others' wounds if I was hurting myself. This new mindset didn't come overnight. There were moments of doubt and loneliness when I wondered if I was becoming cold or distant. But I reminded myself that setting emotional boundaries was an act of courage, not cruelty. It was the only way to protect my heart while still honoring Holly's final wishes. Slowly, those boundaries created space for healthier interactions. Some family members respected my stance and reached out with genuine apologies and openness. Others chose to stay distant, but I accepted that not everyone could be part of my healing journey. After the storm of conflict settled, I found myself standing at a crossroads, looking back at the chaos, but also forward to what could be. Holly's letter, once a source of pain and mystery, had become a symbol of truth and renewal. It wasn't just about the secrets it revealed, but the way it changed the course of my life and our family's future. I took time to reflect on what legacy really meant. It wasn't about inheritance or grudges. It was about the values we leave behind, the courage to face difficult truths, the strength to forgive, and the determination to build something better. Holly's final message had forced us all to confront harsh realities, but it also gave us a chance to heal wounds that had been ignored for too long. With this new clarity, I began to rebuild, not just my relationship with Travis and the children, but my own sense of self. I focused on creating a home filled with honesty and kindness, where silence no longer masked pain. I shared Holly's story with those willing to listen, hoping it might inspire others to face their own family challenges with courage. At the same time, I made peace with the fact that some relationships would never be the same. The past could not be erased, but it could inform how I moved forward, stronger, wiser, and more compassionate. I embraced a new beginning rooted in truth, setting boundaries that protected my peace and allowed love to grow in healthier ways. Holly's letter had closed one chapter, but it opened another, one where I was no longer defined by loss or betrayal, but by resilience and hope. This was my legacy to carry forward, the power to transform pain into strength and silence into a voice that could finally be heard. And in that legacy, I found freedom. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to smash that thumbs up and hit subscribe for more unforgettable, emotional, and viral true stories. We want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell us, where in the world are you watching from?